Hey guys, Dustin here, CEO of 630, and today I'm going to be comparing the Around the Block women's electric bike to the regular standard women's Around the Block and show you the differences, talk about the benefits of the electric versus the standard, so stick around. All right, so today we're going to be comparing the women's Around the Block electric 500 watt to the standard Around the Block non-electric. But before we jump in, hit that subscribe button below, stay in touch with us here at 630, and be in the know about all the new content, new products, and of course, the weekly, monthly giveaways we're doing here at 630 for accessories, bikes, and even e-bikes. So hit subscribe. Okay, so behind me here, I have our women's Around the Block bicycle in the standard and also the electric. Now, one thing I will say about this bike right here is this is a single speed version and the electric bike has a 7-speed version. So I'm going to talk generally about these two models. Some things may be a little bit different if you're talking about the version with the 7-speed versus the single speed. But I will also talk to you about what's the benefit of one versus the other, why would you choose electric, and things like that. So first thing I want to start with is the weight differential. So I actually have a scale out here right now. I'm going to just go ahead and weigh these for you so you can see. Now I'm going to hop on and hit the tare button. Okay. And now I'm going to hop on with the standard version of the electric bike. And this bike weighs 34 pounds. Now, keep in mind, this is the single speed, so the 7-speed is going to have a larger derailleur. It's also going to have handbrakes. That's going to add approximately, let's say, about 3 to 5 pounds. Now, let me get on with the electric bike. Now, with the battery and everything on here, the electric bike weighs 59.5 pounds. And actually, we can also show you the battery. And because I did the tare, I'll just hop on with the battery. And the battery is 8.5 pounds actually. So if you were to remove the battery from the electric bike, this would be 51.5 pounds. So the differential between the two, 34 pounds and 59.5 pounds, let's do the math there. That is 25.5 pound differential between the electric version and the standard version. Now, if you were to ride the electric bike without the battery, subtract that 8.5 pounds. Now this is coming in at 51 pounds, so the difference is 17 pounds between these two bikes. Lastly, add the 7-speed derailleur and the handbrakes. You've now added, let's say, 4 pounds. Now you've increased the weight of this bike to 38 pounds. So the differential between these two bikes is 21.5 pounds with the battery on the back. If you remove the battery, now the differential becomes, let's do the math in our head here, 13.5 pounds. So you can see 13.5 pound differential if you take the battery off between the 7-speed version of the Around the Block. The reason why that's important is because you can ride the electric bike version not in electric mode. And if you wanted to ride it as a normal bike, you can take the battery off and have it function, and you're only adding 13.5 pounds. So it's really amazing how much the electric bike feels like a normal bike when you don't use the motor and you take the battery off. So if you think you are in the market for a bike and you may want an electric version, but you're concerned because you still want to ride it as an electric bike, the benefit of the electric bike is you can do both. In fact, there's 3 modes in the electric version. One is ride it like a normal bike, keep the motor off. 2, allow the pedal assist to do the work. Or 3, use the full throttle and let the bike do the work. So Clear benefit of the electric version is a couple things. One, go farther, go faster. So you can go many more miles if you have the pedal assist function, because when you get tired, you can count on the motor to kick in and assist you as you're riding. So if your normal ride is, say, 10 miles, you might be able to achieve 20, 30, 40 miles. Also, you can be more confident in riding this like a normal bike beyond your general limits, because even if you get tired, use the motor to take you home or assist you to take you home. I know it could be scary if you're thinking, I don't want to be exhausted and ride 20 miles and not be able to get home. The benefit of the electric bike version is really that you can go farther and you can cover more ground faster. With this electric version, the 500 watt, your top speeds are going to be 28 miles an hour with pedal assist and 20 miles an hour if you're using the full throttle and letting the bike completely do the work. Now, shifting back to the standard around the block, there's still some great benefit to the standard around the block. The first thing you need to think about, number one, is how frequently are you going to be riding? If the reality is that you're not a frequent rider and the investment of a bike, $1,000 or more is not worth it to you, getting something simple, standard, that can be a go-to around town or with the family riding bike, the Around the Block standard version is perfect for that. It's going to be very lightweight, easy to manage, easy to hang up in the garage, easy to maintain, things like that. And then if you're just doing simple riding, short riding, I would say less than 5 miles, and you never think you want to push yourself, or you don't consider commuting, or even up to 10, you can do up to 10 miles on this bike, especially the 7-speed version. But if you just don't think there's any need for you to get the benefit out of the electric, so to go beyond 10 miles or to really push yourself, or you don't think you'll ever need the electricity, the standard version is still a great option. It's just easier to get around with, meaning like bike racks, things like that, and also great for simple around town riding, where the benefit of the investment may not come back to you. So in addition to that, you can see the electric version comes with fenders, which also adds some weight to the bike. The e-bike version does has a much beefier rear rack to hold the battery. That's where some of the added weight also comes from. Also, the braking system, the disc brakes, even versus the hand brakes, are going to weigh a little bit more than the brakes, the caliper brakes that come on the bike. So something to think about there as well. So other than that, though, you can see by looking at these two bikes, obviously the color schemes are different. The frames are basically identical. So step over heights are the same, riding position is the same. The feel of these bikes is actually totally the same. And from my experience, even riding these two bikes, you're not going to notice much difference riding the standard version versus riding the electric version without electricity, even with that added weight, especially on flat ground. Now, if you are going up and down hills, that added weight will bog you down, obviously. But if you're on flat ground, I would say it's hard-pressed to feel the difference between the electric version or the standard version when you're riding it as a normal bike. Granted, over time and the longer you ride, of course your body's going to have to work harder to, carry the weight of a bike that weighs 26 pounds more. So, something to think about is if you think you really are never going to use the electric, then opting for the standard is the best bet. But I will say this, having the electric available for you opens up the possibilities so much more with your bike. You can use it more for commuting. It becomes an actual form of transportation where you can add added weight on the back, carry groceries, things like that. Not that you can't do that on a standard bike, but if that's something that maybe you shied away from doing because you didn't want to tow the weight or you were fearful about getting tired, now when you add the electricity in here, you can use that assistance or use the throttle. And again, once you add that electricity in, the bike becomes so much more than just a standard bike. It becomes a full-bore mode of transportation, like I said. Now, comparing everything else, grips are the same, seat is the same, tires are the same. One thing I do notice is we do have a little bit, we have a 3-piece crank on the electric version versus the steel crank on the base model standard version. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference, honestly, in the pedaling because of the amount of torque that goes into the electric bike. We've done the 3-piece version because it has the sealed bearing, so it's going to ride a little smoother. And again, if you're going faster and torquing it more, that 3-piece crank's going to hold up more over time. In addition to that, you can see the rims are basically the same. Obviously, the rims on this one actually have the machined sidewall, and that's because on the e-bike we have the disc brakes. We don't have the caliper brakes. So on the standard versions we use the caliper brakes, and so we need to machine the side of the rim in order for those to grip. The benefit of the disc brakes now, again, with the faster speeds, these disc brakes are going to provide much more stopping power, and when you're going at higher speeds, that's going to add another layer of safety. On the standard bike, with the top speeds you can hit on a cruiser like this, it's not really imperative to have disc brakes, and it's actually more braking power than is necessary for this type of bike. So, lastly, comparing these two, the other thing you're really going to get out of the e-bike version is the sort of topography you can ride. Going up and down hills, maybe hills that you were scared of riding before, you can use the electricity and really traverse all sorts of hills. So if there's certain routes you shied away from before that maybe you didn't think you could power yourself to, now the electric bike can do that. So that's something to think about as well. Where are you going to ride your bike? And if there's a lot of hills on your ride and you're really scared, getting the electric bike version is a good option because it would probably motivate you to ride more, knowing you have the motor and have the assistance to help you get up the hills. The thing I'd hate to see happen to anyone is you buy this bike and you've got a couple hills on your favorite route and then you just give up because it's too much work. I've been there before. I used to do rides to the beach and there was a big hill to get up and down. It's like, I don't really want to ride my bike all the way down. So you see a lot of people in California actually opting for the electric bike so they can ride down to the beach and have the electricity get back up, and it's motivated me to get on the bike more. So that's a huge benefit of the electric bike, generally speaking. And then I think that pretty much covers the main comparisons between the e-bike and the standard bike. From there, I would say, honestly, if an electric bike is in your budget and you can afford it and you're getting into biking right now, opting to get a bike with the electricity expands your horizons so much more. But again, the choice is really up to you and what suits you best, your lifestyle, and what you want to do. And actually, last thing I'm going to say, I just thought of it in my head, is if you're looking to get a bike for weight loss, there's a myth out there that electric bikes, you can't lose weight on an electric bike, or that a standard bike is better for weight loss. I would actually argue the opposite, and here's why. An electric bike is really great for weight loss because it will allow you to push yourself harder knowing you have the electricity if you need it. Like I said before, you can go on longer rides, more frequent rides, and even if your legs are exhausted one day, you could put the pedal assist in level 1 and even 2, so the bike's barely assisting you, but it'll give you enough assistance to help you push through that particular day. So I think the benefit of the e-bike is you can almost use it as a training aid as you see fit. Now, of course, if you just start using the electricity full blast every time you ride, it's not going to aid in your weight loss. So if you feel like you would use it too much and you want to lose weight, stick to the standard bike. But if you can use the electric assist effectively, it can be a great tool to aid in the weight loss, push your body more physically, and just achieve more, generally speaking. So, I hope the comparison of the standard around the block and the electric around the block is helpful. If you have any questions at all, please email us, the team at sixthreezero.com, or call us 310-982-2877, or comment below. We always respond to the comments. And don't forget, take the body fit quiz on our website. We have a proprietary fitting algorithm. You'll answer a few questions about your body and your life, and our proprietary algorithm will recommend the perfect bike for your body and your life. And don't forget, we have a 365-day test ride your policy on regular bikes and a 90-day test ride your policy on e-bikes. If you don't love your bikes in either of those time periods, you can send it back, no questions asked, no money out of your pocket. In addition to that, we have a huge community on Facebook, the 630 Peddlers. You can go and join that group prior to purchasing and ask any questions you may have about either one of these bikes or any bike at all. See how others are riding their bikes. And after you become a member of the community, post your own photos, make friends. It's a lot of fun. And lastly, download our app and be a part of that community. Same thing, you can see how many miles other people are logging. You can track your own rides, compete on the leaderboard, and be a part of our 2022 People Pedaling Challenge. We're trying to ride 150,000 miles here at 630, and every mile you and all the other riders log goes towards our goals, and if we hit our milestones, we're giving away lots of bikes to help other people get riding. So, thanks for sticking around, and don't forget, it's your journey, your experience. Enjoy the ride.